Let's unite our energies to form a chain of love that extends beyond physical borders, radiating positivity and compassion.
Shankar and Pillai had. Why, you're laughing at somebody's ailment, it's not good. Shankar and Pillai had chronic tuberculosis. Tuberculosis. So he went to the doctor. Been festering for a long time, but it became too much of a problem, so he went. The doctor took an X-ray and looked, big holes in the lungs. He said, you need to get admitted into the hospital right away. And it takes a minor surgery. And you have to stay in the hospital minimum 6 months. And it'll cost you $50,000. Shankar and Pillai said, no, no way. $50,000 for sure I don't have. 6 months, no way. I can give you $100, what can you do? Now, the doctor looked at him, looked at the X-ray, looked at him, looked at the X-ray. He said, well, for $100 I could touch up the X-ray for you. It is possible that you could have caused physical damage to your system, an ailment, because of your patterns of thinking, very much possible. Because you're a psychosoma, whatever happens in the mind invariably happens in the body. But once the damage is manifested in the body, physically, trying to think it away could be just wishful thinking. I'm not saying it's not at all possible, but after all you have only one life, you don't want to take such a risk. Yes, you would like to assist it with your thought process also, but no, I will just sit down and think it away. You may think yourself away, you know. So don't try such things. Disease or no disease, ailment or no ailment, you have no business to make a mess out of your mind. You have no business to torture this being. Whether you get ailment or you don't get an ailment is the next thing. But you have simply no business to torture this being. Because this is, in a way, it's a helpless being. See, if I run after you with a hot iron right now, you will try to escape. You'll call for help. You can do all those things. But suppose you take a hot iron and start putting into this one, where will this one run? Even if you're a child, you can still have some defense, yes? Even as a 5-6-year-old kid has some defense, isn't it? But this one, no defense. Whatever nonsense you do to this one, it has to just go through it, no escape. So this is like torturing a fetus trapped inside, now you start poking it. This is just like that, yes? The cruelest form of torture, the cruelest thing that you can do is self-torture, because a totally helpless being, everybody else, however helpless they are, they have some defense, isn't it? Yes? The weakest person can stab you when you're fast asleep. Yes or no? It's happened, isn't it? Somebody is weak, you went on poking them, one day when you're sleeping they came and poked you. They can do something. Even a very weak person, even a child can do something to you. But this one, totally helpless. So you have no business to torture this one, whether you have got an ailment or you haven't got an ailment. If you have gotten an ailment already, you've already taken it that far that you cause damage to the system, it is better that it is assisted in all ways possible. Yes, definitely you must stop your nonsense. But if the system needs medicine, surgery, this one, that one, whatever is needed, it has to be done. Trying to just think it away because you brought it through your mind, do not think that you can take it away through your mind. Possible, I'm not saying no at all. I cannot say it's 100% no, it is possible. But you don't try such things because you may think yourself away. Once it crosses a certain point, then nobody can help you, isn't it? Yes? Even your doctors give up at some point or no? Or they… The only people who don't give up on you is the insurance. Everybody else gives up on you at some point. The only people who don't want to give up on you is insurance because you know. So, keeping your mind life-friendly is definitely your business. Your mind should be friendly to this life, isn't it so? Should work for this life. After all, your mind is your employee. Yes or no? Why have you made him your enemy? If you do not know how to handle the people who work for you, they will turn into your enemies. Don't have any misunderstanding about this. Don't have any doubt about this. It happens, isn't it so? If you don't handle your own children properly, they will turn into your enemies. No? You have any doubt? No, not my son, he won't do that. Don't have any doubt, he'll do that. If you don't handle him right, he will turn into your enemy, yes or no? Yes or no? That's the way life is. Now, why is it your mind, such a powerful, beautiful, miraculous thing, has turned into your enemy? This is something we have to look at, whether you have an ailment or you're on the way. Whichever way, it's time you look at it, isn't it so? You shouldn't let any time pass because thinking diseases in and thinking diseases out is not fun. It'll cost life. Once you have an ailment, it becomes a full-time engagement. You won't have any other luxury of sitting and listening to spiritual discourse like this. It'll take away everything. You'll be sitting in a hospital queue. Yes or no? It's not fun. Yes? It's not fun. Till you get there, you don't realize how bad it is. I want you, everybody, however healthy you are, once a month, take a tour of a major hospital in your town. You must. Really, you must go and see. Not for some perverse pleasure, but you must see what can happen to human beings. Just small things wrong, that's all. They didn't commit any great crime. They were just every day creating little acid in their stomach. See where it's gotten them. You handle everything right, still the damn tick may get into you and cause problems, who knows? Yes? You handle everything right, doesn't matter. You got into an airplane, you're thinking they're all people, but the swine flu got into you. Somebody's a swine there, you don't know. If you do everything right, still there are a million problems, isn't it so? Yes? The nature of life is such, even if you drink milk, you could get poisoned. But if you're talking about drinking poison and living well, all the best. That's all I can say. Isn't it so? If you eat good food, it can turn into poison in your stomach, it's possible. If you eat the best things, it can turn into poison. You want to eat poison and live well? I can only wish you luck. Because there's no other way for such a person, isn't it? You're churning up poison and hoping to live well. Oh, you need a lot of luck. We have to arrange the whole tapestry of stars into a line, straight line for you. All the stars in line for you. Otherwise life will not work for you, it'll get you. So, please keep your mind in line. It should work for you. It should do beautiful things for you, not ugly things. Why is your mind doing ugly things? So, now, I can't stand her, I can't stand her. If I develop resentment, anger, hatred, these are all poisons you drink and you expect someone else to die. Life doesn't work like that. If you drink the poison, only you die, not somebody else. I hate her, I want her dead. Only you die, not her. Isn't it? You drink poison and you expect somebody else to die. It doesn't work like that. So, you need to get this straightened out. If your mind is working against you, first and foremost thing that you do is take a break from every damn thing that you're doing, it doesn't matter what you're doing. You understand? Your work, your family, your nonsense, take a break from everything, go to an appropriate place. If you want, you can come here or go to India, go somewhere else, wherever it works for you. Do something about this one. Fix this one before you enter the world, isn't it? So, sit down in one place, see what you can do about this one. Because once you live in this world, either you must do something good to yourself or you must do something good to 10 people around you. Either you must be keeping yourself truly joyful and living, you don't care about anybody, it doesn't matter, at least you're happy, you're okay. Or you're doing something nice for somebody around you, you're okay. Anybody who is not doing any good to himself or to anybody around him has really no right to call himself human, isn't it? That much intelligence and awareness nature has put into you, isn't it so? Yes? Maybe you can't do some great act in the world, it doesn't matter. At least walk gently upon this planet, that much you can do, right? Yes? Maybe you can't go out and serve the whole world, it doesn't matter. At least walk joyfully. If you walk joyfully on this planet, suddenly you see the whole world looks beautiful. Once the whole world looks beautiful, naturally you will shed a glance, a loving glance upon everything. This is natural process, is it so? If you walk through this very joyfully, whatever you look at looks beautiful. Once everything looks beautiful to you, you naturally shed a very loving glance upon everything that you see. You are a blessed being. That's all it takes. And if you are not so, isn't it time that you take some time off and work upon yourself? No, I'm doing something important. You're not doing anything important. Because in everything that you do, who you are will find expression, isn't it? Not your stupid good intentions which will find expression. Who you are will find expression in everything that you do. If you have poison in your head with good intentions, you'll inject poison into the world. That's what is happening in the world. More damage is happening to this world with good intentions than with bad intentions, isn't it so? In 1934, Adolf Hitler gave a speech in Hamburg and he said, "I'm doing the duty of my forefathers." When people asked him why he is rounding up people and sending them to the gas. And I want you to understand, I believe that he was not lying, he believes. That's the most dangerous thing. He's not a liar, he believes what he's doing. That's what empowers the men. Within a short span of time, the way he organized the whole nation and made everybody believe whatever he believes in, is not simple organization, phenomenal organization, isn't it? Because the man believes 100%, and he believes that he is the best thing, he is doing the best thing that can be done to the world. So, your good intentions are not going to save the world. How you are, and how you are will change only if you can breathe, walk, lie down, sit down joyfully. If you cannot do this one thing, everything else will be just poison, whatever you do. Only when you're pleasant within yourself, you feel pleasant about everything around you. Only when you feel pleasant about everything around you, you move around with a certain sense and value to life around you. Otherwise, it doesn't matter how much morality you carry in you, how many scriptures you remember, you will find ways to do the cruelest possible things. So the first and foremost business, the first and basic responsibility for a human being is how he sits here. Are you sitting here joyfully? Are you sitting here with some misery being manufactured in your head? This is the foremost thing that you have to attend to. Only after that everything else. Because otherwise nothing else really works, please see. Whenever you feel very miserable, always the thought comes, you want to end your life. You don't take action on that, but thought comes, isn't it? Yes or no? You try this, 24 hours you remain in misery. You always entertain yourself with a television or a book or a friend or something. Don't do that. 24 hours just remain in misery. Within 24 hours, you will get serious thoughts that you want to end your life, for sure. Because nobody can bear misery more than for a few minutes. More than a few minutes, you need a diversion, otherwise you'll go crazy, isn't it? To understand misery does not work. That's not the way to conduct life, whatever may be your life situation, whatever I'm saying. Whatever may be happening with your life, maybe when you came to the satsang, you packed everything in your car and come and you have no house to go back to. Maybe, if you come from Michigan. Not you, okay, not you. Maybe something else. There may be many things in life. Whatever it may be, you are better off than when you were born, isn't it? You came with nothing, at least you got something now. You're on the profit side. Look at the beauty of life. You came with utterly nothing. Whatever may be happening, you are still in profit, not in loss. So you cannot complain. Isn't it so? So, don't try to think your disease away, think your misery away. If you think your misery away, ailment or no ailment, we'll see.
We fear technology because of the kind of people who will handle it. That's a problem. Technology is a fantastic facilitator. Technology is a big relief from a huge burden we've been carrying on our heads, but we fear this well-being because we have not taken care of what kind of human beings we create on this planet. We have not focused on that. We have not focused, our education systems have not focused on what sort of human beings we produce in this world. We're trying to fix it with 5 ethics or morals or don't do this, do this. This is not going to work. Forever they have thought and these things have not worked because you cannot restrain a human being by telling him, do this, don't do this. If there was a sense of inclusiveness, as we went through this earlier, If you sat here and experienced all of them as part of yourself, you will not need any kind of guideline from anybody. You will not do anything unnecessary for somebody else, isn't it? This is yoga. Yoga means there is a union with everything around you. Right now, we are valuing only people's memory. Well, we will produce machines which will have 1,000,000 GB, all right? So your brains cannot contain that much. So now it becomes significant. We are coming to a time where human consciousness will become the most important thing. One thing the machine cannot do is to be conscious. So, what kind of a human being you are will become more important than what nonsense you carry in your head. Isn't it great time? Hello? Great times are coming. So we should not fear technology. Well, as you said, laws to regulate this, that you can do, but within no time, there'll be technologies to circumvent those laws, as you're seeing always. Well, all these years, if you make a law, it takes 15, 20 years to circumvent it. The time is coming, if you make a law, within 3 days, they'll circumvent it. Yes, because the capability is such. So these are great times that none of your laws will work. The only thing that'll work is, what sort of human being are you? Then human energy, human education, everything needs to focus on what sort of human beings do we produce. This should become the prime interest of humanity, that what kind of a human being am I? Am I inclusive or exclusive? This is a basic question.
Yes, you're absolutely right, because right from the first invention of man, which is fire, it can be used for good and for bad purposes. So I think every invention of man has a dual use. You can use it for good, you can also use it for harm. And I think, as you rightly pointed out, it is only your inner ethical and moral compass that guides, what use you put to that technology. But I think we have to be very watchful to see that the good, the benefits outweigh, some of the potential harms, and unless we are proactively thinking about it, it may just come upon us and it may be too late.
Can I say something which is a little little ahead of time, but it's time to look at it because times will roll faster in the coming years. See, please look back and see, in this world, people who thought they're really good people, they have created more harm in this world, or so-called bad people have caused more harm in this world. Please tell me. Hello? Good people cause more harm, unfortunately, because it's a good Indian fighting a good Pakistani. It is a good Muslim fighting a good somebody else. It is a good American fighting just about anybody. Because the more good you think you are, you have more reason to fight, unfortunately. Bad, so-called bad people, criminals, they kill one or two. The real raising of civilizations happen by people who believe they are doing a great thing, isn't it? They're very proud, they are fulfilling their moral compass, they are fulfilling their ideologies, their philosophies. They really believe they're doing a great thing. Especially the moment you think you're not just doing good, you're doing God's own work, you will do the maximum damage. Because the nature of human action is such, our actions are never perfect, never, ever. One who thinks they are doing perfect action is a fool. Our actions are never perfect. When our actions are not perfect, there must be little hesitation in everything that we do. But the moment you believe you are the best or the greatest or the best possible creature on this planet, then you can do horrible things with absolute confidence. Yes, if you have little doubt, you will hesitate. So this is very important. We have tried to manage humanity by the fear of God. It's not worked. We have tried to manage humanity with goodness and karma. You do this, you will be punished somewhere else. It has not worked. We have tried to manage human beings by teaching them ethics, morals, everything, but you know in how many different ways they circumvent that when it's to their advantage. But what you know as myself, what you know as a part of yourself, with that you don't need any of these things, isn't it? If I see you as a part of myself, I don't need the fear of God not to harm you, I don't need morals not to harm you, I don't need ethics to keep myself away from harming you. I just won't do it, because such a thing never arises within me.
So, I think you brought us back to the…
I'm sorry if I'm very abrasive.
No. You brought us back to the theme of inclusiveness.
Inclusiveness.
Yes. I want to ask you next about primary health care and preventive health, because after all, I come from WHO, and we have to remember that we have only about 10 years left for the Sustainable Development Goals to achieve health for all, that is the SDG 3. Now, health was enshrined in the very constitution of the World Health Organization, and health was defined even at that time, not just as a physical health, but also mental, spiritual and social health, and not just the absence of disease, but of well-being. It was also stated that it's a fundamental right of every human being to attain the highest attainable standards of health, that governments have a responsibility of providing basic health care services to their population, but also that individuals and communities need to take active responsibility and cooperate in order to improve the health of the people. So we see now more and more countries, the heads of states are actually committing to universal health coverage. In India, we have the Prime Minister launched the Ayushman Bharat program last year, which aims to cover 500 million people with not only with health insurance, but also with primary health care services. But again, primary health care, many people think it's been interpreted in different ways. People think about it as an essential package of health services. People have interpreted it as just a selective package of health services which you provide only to the poor. And others have interpreted it from social and political and economic aspects. But the way WHO defines primary health care is, of course, to deliver the basic health services across the life course to address, again, not only treatment and diagnosis, but preventive services, rehabilitation, palliative care, long-term care throughout the life course, from the newborn to the elderly. And we have to appreciate now that the proportion of elderly is growing worldwide. And we will have by 2030 about 500 million people globally over the age of 80 years. And the most rapid increases are going to happen in Asia, Latin America, and Africa of elderly. How do you integrate them? How do you make sure they live good quality of life till the very end? But primary health care is also about making the right policies, public policies, like banning tobacco and smoking in public places, by making sure that there are water and sanitation services.
We're banning tobacco and make marijuana legal.
That's another debate, yes. And also the third element of primary health care is to empower individuals and communities, actually, to take action at the local level so that they can optimize their own health. They can advocate for policies. We see young people now, Greta Thunberg, the 16-year-old who has been advocating for climate change and who's actually managed to get heads of state to stand up and take notice of what she's saying. So I think a lot of hope now in young people. But people need to be co-developers of health and social services, but also they are self-carers and caregivers to others within their own families and communities. How can we integrate the practice of yoga and traditional medicine into our primary health care services so that they keep people healthy? It's not a question of treating illness once they're already ill. It's a bit late. Of course, there are medicines and things which you can use, but the aim should be to keep people healthy as long as possible. How do we integrate this, and have you had personal experience in India of being able to scale that up?
Now, the last part of your question is easy for me to answer. How to integrate yoga, how to make it available, large scale, various things are being done. But the larger part of your question, you will not settle with a simple answer from me, because better than anyone, you know the complexities involved in that. And as you come up with more solutions, people will come up with more issues. Let's say now you spoke about India, Ayushman Bharat. The wonderful thing is Prime Minister is taking two parallel ways. One is he's pushing yoga on one side and talking about insurance when you fall sick. Falling sick is not your privilege. Every human being needs to understand this, that it's not a privilege or your right to fall sick. You have no business to fall sick. But if it happens, it is only an emergency net. But in advanced countries, in Western countries, particularly I'm watching in United States, people think insurance is their privilege and they must exercise it. A nation with see, an individual person or a society or a nation seeks affluence in the initial stages because affluence promises choice of nourishment. In later stages, affluence brings choice of lifestyle. This is all human beings are seeking through affluence. So the most affluent country on the planet, which has a wide choice of nourishment and lifestyle, 70% of them are on prescription medication, spends over $3 trillion as healthcare bill. A country which has so many choices of nourishment and lifestyle should not have a healthcare bill like that, isn't it? Hello? But 70% are on prescription medication, the remaining 30% of course buying it off the back streets. Every nation is heading in this way as if this is the example to follow. Every nation is moving in that direction, that people are beginning to think, my health is my government's responsibility, or maybe it's the WHO's responsibility. No, every individual needs to understand my health is my business. If it goes wrong, somebody will support you, that's a different matter. But staying healthy is my business as an individual person. This is what yoga inculcates, that your health is 100% your business. You should not misunderstand the insurance net and government healthcare systems as a place that you need to go every day because it's there, it's your privilege to go there and exercise your right as a citizen. You have no business to go there as a life. As a life, you have no business to go to your hospital. You must live well and go straight to the undertaker. Yes. You're going to the hospital because not enough attention has been paid as to how this mechanism works. The most complex, the most sophisticated machine on the planet is human mechanism. Do you agree with me? No, I'm not saying how complicated you are, I'm talking about the human mechanism. But the problem is most human beings are trying to live here without even reading the user's manual. So the initial aspect of yoga means, first thing is you read the user's manual. How does this work? What does what in this one? I was just talking to a group of American people. They said, Sadhguru, why there is so much ill health in America? I said, see, there are many aspects. Let me not go into a big talk about what are all the things you need to fix. I said, if you just allow me to redesign your furniture in America, you will see your healthcare bill as a person will come down minimum 30 to 40%. Just your furniture, the way you sit. Most furniture is made in such a way, if I go sit like this, this is the only way you can sit. You cannot sit like this. If you sit like this, you're inviting illnesses. Because, just to tell you a little bit, all of you know this, many of you are medical doctors, this Here is all the vital organs. None of them are fixed with nuts and bolts, it's all hanging in nets. Hello? Only if you sit like this, they all function to their best. If you sit like this, they'll all pile on each other and they will not function well. It's as simple as that. Especially with a full stomach, after lunch if you sit like this, it definitely you're asking for trouble. Now, like this, there are many things we can go on with. I'm saying small things, if we just understand how this works. Simple forms of yoga is just that. You just understand how your breath works, how your heart beats, how things are functioning, how you should sit, stand and breathe. If this much you understand, most probably you will never go to your doctor. But there are other influences, you're breathing chemicals, you're eating chemicals, drinking chemicals, exposed to so many things, there are infections, and above all, there is a population where hardly you find a space where there are no people. People are infection, you know. Hello? Once there are a group of people, there are chimneys of infections going on. Our bodies have to battle to somehow manage this stuff. If only there's enough space, if there was enough space on the planet, I think they're transporting all the men to the Mars, then I think the ladies can live well here. If there was enough space on this planet, that is, if the populations were little less than what it is, a whole lot of this healthcare wouldn't be necessary simply because there's simply little more distance between human beings. Well, we've not addressed that at all. United Nations made a prediction by 2050 we'll be 9.7 billion people. Well, they're going by the predictions, by looking at the rate of growth and the extension of human life, which is a wonderful thing. But why don't we plan by 2050 or 75 we'll be 3.5 billion people? We need a plan, isn't it? We are so smart. If we think there are too many elephants in Africa, we cull them. All right? Hello? We are that smart. How come we don't understand? If we extend or postpone our death, we also need to postpone our birth. How come we don't understand simple arithmetic? We got too much going in our head, too full of ourselves. We don't see that one of me is bad enough, I don't have to leave 10 behind. I'm not saying children are wonderful, all right? But we produce children, we must also leave a wonderful world for them to live, isn't it? If you create a nasty and harsh world, if you create a very harsh world and go, these wonderful children that you bear will become ugly animals, believe me. It's very important that we leave a pleasant and wonderful world so that they can fulfill their lives as wonderful human beings. Is this not important? So if we want to address healthcare without addressing population issues, I think we are not serious about what we're talking. We cannot talk about human health without addressing the population issue in a big way. Most nations have just given it up because it's religiously sensitive or whatever. Even in India, there was a family planning ministry. Now that has been transformed into family welfare. I appreciate the intention, but we must be able to gauge the realities of our existence, not ideologies of what we think, isn't it? In the beginning of 20th century, we were only 1.6 billion people. Today we are 7.6 billion people. In 1 century, this is not just because of reproduction, this is because human life, people are living more full. For example, in 1947 when India got its independence, the average life expectancy of an Indian was 28 years. Today it is 71, fantastic. We want it to become 91 if it's possible. Average life expectancy should be 85, 90, it should get there. But when we postpone death, we must also postpone birth. It is not compulsory that everybody must reproduce. This is coming because of a tribal mindset What will I leave behind? It is because of this people want to accumulate things that they don't need. They want to grab everything, half the world they want to conquer because they got 10 children. This needs to go. A time has come where human consciousness should become more important than human biology. If you're identified with your biology, you're still having an evolutionary issue, isn't it? Hello? If your biology is the most dominant force in you, you're still having an evolutionary issue. It is time we think beyond our biology. Many of you who are here with your spouses or your partners, you didn't deliver your spouse, isn't it? But you're doing quite fine with them. I'm saying you can do quite fine with people that you don't deliver.
So maybe just the last question for this session could be, I think what you said made me think about a couple of things. Immunization, vaccines have been one of the greatest public health discoveries. In fact, one of the reasons why the lifespan increased so much—
Yes, definitely.
—is because of the availability of vaccines. We used to lose, half the number of children who were born used to die of pneumonia, diarrhea and other infections. Today, that mortality has been brought down significantly thanks to vaccines, but also to antibiotics. But now suddenly we are seeing a different trend. If you look at the news, every day you hear about measles outbreaks, not in some remote corner of Africa, but in France, in Germany, in Ukraine, in the United States. In fact, the President of the United States and most of the mayors and governors have been speaking up about the importance of immunization. Because if you take a disease like measles, it's not enough for me to vaccinate my child and hope that it will be protected. You need what is called herd immunity. And to get herd immunity, you need about 90–95% of the children in that community to be vaccinated. So an individual action, a parent decides my child does not need a vaccine because of whatever belief. It's sometimes religious, but very often it's not religious. And a recent survey just came out a few days ago showed that people believed in the safety of vaccines 95% and above in Asia and Africa, but only 70% in Western Europe and even less in Eastern Europe. Only 50% of people, adults, believe that vaccines are safe. So this is beyond logic, it's beyond science, it's beyond any factual information that we give to people. It doesn't seem to be working. And yet, it impacts many others. You don't vaccinate your child, but the child who gets measles and dies may be somebody else's child. And so I think it comes back to what you were saying about it's not just yourself. You need to think about the humanity, community, society, and most importantly, the planet where we live, and how we can modulate those actions.
This is a phenomena that we must observe historically or within families or individuals. Human beings get tired of well-being. They want some trouble. They like trouble, They like it really. See, America spent billions and billions of dollars to build highways, but now everybody buys off-road vehicles because people like some trouble. Too much order creates a certain level of irritation in the human being. He wants a little chaos. They must visit India. So, this campaign is gaining momentum particularly in California, big time. A whole lot of parents coming to me and asking this, I'm telling them, don't be a fool, because when you find your child is either crippled with polio or something else… I remember this very well. When I was in school, there were 4 children in my school. I never stayed in one school for too long. So I was there maximum 2 years, 3 years in any given school, 3 was the maximum. So in that high school where I was in one school for 3 years, in high school there were 4 polio-affected boys, 3 of them boys, 1 girl, who came to school in a wheelchair, but Many places the wheelchair wouldn't go in those days, so they would drag themselves and go. It was so terrible to see them. But today, even if you go to the remotest village in India, even if you go to the government schools where we work, there's not a single polio-affected child. It's fantastic to see that. So we don't know the value of these things. Unfortunately, we get tired of well-being. We want to invite some trouble. But having said that, I was talking to some of the parents in California. They were saying they're being put through some 40 or 42 different types of vaccines. They're saying it is causing learning disability, this, that, for all kinds of things. Maybe in United States, and I don't know what's the situation in Europe, maybe they're overdoing it a little bit. Apart from treating the basic things which were affecting children, which would cause death or cripple, it would cripple a child, I think they're attending to trying to give vaccine for just about everything. This may be affecting. I'm not some kind of a medical expert or something to make a commentary on this, but from listening to the parents, this is what I gathered. I don't remember all the things that they said they're giving vaccines for. I thought some of them were just absurd. Some of those illnesses a child can go through, it's okay, he catches a flu, something happens. It's all right to go through those things when you're growing up, but they're giving vaccines for a whole lot of things which may not be necessary, which today parents are apprehensive, maybe causing learning disability or some other problem. It may not be connected, I don't know, but this is the fear that is being spread. But the power and the well-being that vaccines have brought to our lives, most of us are sitting here because we were vaccinated. Hello? Yes. Otherwise we wouldn't be here. Definitely we wouldn't be here, many of us. So, we should not… see, the problem is just this, especially now because social media and things, we either go this extreme or that extreme. I feel, being the World Health Organization, please look into this. I'm not an expert, but what kind of vaccines they're giving in… the spectrum of vaccines they're giving in United States, for example. If it is too much, I think WHO should tell them this much is not needed, this is compulsory, rest is by choice. If it's made like that, I think there'll be a more healthy proportion. Otherwise, some parents are just not vaccinating their children. I said, you must be crazy, you'll lose your child. Anytime it can happen, the child goes to school and that may be the end of it. But out of their, their fear that vaccine is going to damage their brains or something, they are going for this kind of decision-making. I think a clear statement from an organization like WHO would help parents to make a better choice.
Thank you, Sadhguru. And I just wanted to clarify that vaccines cause adults, that's what you said. None of us would be sitting here if it were not for vaccination. So let's think of vaccines as causing adults. And I don't think there's anything as too much of a good thing. So the problem has been the anti-vax campaign, skeptics who have spread many… There are side effects of everything. Everything has a side effect, but 1 in a million, maybe 1 in 2 million, but they have been blown out of proportion. And this gets circulated through social media. So social media can have both very good benefits, but also can propagate falsehoods very rapidly. And I think one needs to be always a little skeptical of things that we see on social media and check for ourselves the veracity. As far as WHO is concerned, we have absolutely very clear-cut guidelines on vaccination. And there is, as I said, very clear guidance both for the public and for practitioners on which vaccines are absolutely essential for all children.
Well, I think it needs to be more published.
Perhaps it has to be more…
Or if you give such knowledge to us, we will
That will be wonderful.
publish. Because when I spoke to the parents, their concerns were genuine. They're not those flaky, new agey types. They're genuinely concerned that this may affect their children.
You're right. I think the messaging probably needs to be done through people whom they believe. And some people believe the doctors, but maybe they also like to hear it from from others. So
If there's credible scientific information…
yes.
And also clearly what is a must and what is choice.
What is
If
optional.
that is created, I think it'll be good.
Thank you very much
Thank
for
you.
this opportunity.
Thank you very much.
Namaskar.
Thank you, Dr. Swaminathan, for the truly insightful and absorbing conversation. The next segment of the program is a question and answer session. It's my pleasure to invite on stage Mr. Francis Gurry to moderate this session.
Thank you so much.
She was a doctor, it's okay. You're a lawyer, don't ask difficult questions.
Sadhguru, it's really a privilege to have this opportunity to interact with you, and please allow me to thank Ambassador Rajiv Chanda for giving me this opportunity. I think actually it's a sign of the greatest inclusiveness that India should invite an Australian on International Yoga Day during the middle of the World Cricket Cup.
This doesn't mean we are beginning to go… This doesn't mean we are going to be kind to you on the cricket field.
I've noticed. So now I have many questions from many people in the audience who would like to ask for your wisdom, but may I start by asking you one myself? So, the power of inclusiveness. Now, if we go back in the world, say 30 years,
Be a multiplier of love and knowledge. Share this video with those you love, and together, let's spread light throughout the world.